Hello, and welcome back to Top of the Line. I'm Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And today we are going to be talking about what happened during Week 18 of the NFL, including division takeovers, postseason previews, and our picks for Game of the Week. So let's get started. So Ben, it seemed like almost a month ago we turned on the Lions and the Chiefs for the season kickoff, and here we are into January. But hey, on to the playoffs.
Yeah, it really flew by. It's insane how fast. It seemed like it flew by last year too, but it seemed like this year it went even faster. And, but we're here now.
Yeah, I feel like that's every season. But in the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars somehow missed the playoffs after losing their last 5 out of 6 games, and which means the Houston Texans, with their win over the Colts on Saturday night, means the Houston Texans will win the division and get that home playoff game.
Yeah, and great for them. I think Jacksonville, they wouldn't have put up as good of a fight as Houston would against Cleveland in the first round. So I think it's good that Houston ended up winning that division, because ever since Trevor Lawrence got hurt, that Jacksonville team hasn't been the same. And I almost think that it's good that they missed the playoffs so that they can, have some more motivation going into next year to improve. But I love this Texans team, and I think that that Texans versus Browns game is going to be insane.
I agree. But on the other side for the Tennessee Titans, this is probably going to be Derrick Henry's final game playing in as a Tennessee Titan. Played with them for 8 years. And, but onto the AFC East now. The Buffalo Bills get the win over the Miami Dolphins, which means they get the tiebreaker over the Dolphins, and they win the division.
Yeah, and I love that game. Obviously, I had an absolute field day, but it's also just proves how resilient this team is. They were 6-6, and they were facing elimination. Every single game in the past 5-6 weeks was basically a playoff game for them. If they lost, then they probably wouldn't have made it. And they didn't. They went 5-0 in those last 5 weeks, stole the division. And what really killed Miami was losing to the Titans. I don't know how they let the Titans beat them, but they had a 3-game lead. They lose to the Titans and the Ravens, and then that game at home against Buffalo was just not good for them. So
the Bills host the Steelers on Sunday. Right, Sunday?
Yeah. Sunday at 1.
Which means Miami goes to Kansas City for Saturday night. The low at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City is supposed to be -2 degrees. So
yeah, and that's going to be a huge advantage for Kansas City. Miami's used to playing in the warm weather, obviously. Now they have to go to Arrowhead, a hostile environment. That crowd is going to be electric, and the cold weather. There's going to be a lot to overcome for Miami, and it all could have been avoided had they just beaten the Titans.
Another thing that everyone is missing, too, is that it's Tyreek Hill's return to Kansas City, which was supposed to be earlier this season, but instead it happened in Germany. And now it's happening in Kansas City for the playoffs.
Yeah, his true homecoming game finally coming in the playoffs, and I think he'll go off. Even though he's a bit banged up right now, I think he'll play with a vengeance.
I agree. All right, well, it's time for our wild card predictions. So Ben, who do you have winning wild card weekend? So who's moving on, and who is going down south to play golf for the offseason?
So I'm going to start in the AFC. So for the 2-7 matchup, I think that the Bills are going to start out slow like they usually do, and the Steelers are going to get something going with their running game, but eventually Buffalo will adjust, and they're just going to absolutely close the doors in the second half. I have Buffalo winning pretty convincingly. And then moving on to Kansas City and Miami, it'll be close, but I think that home field advantage and that cold weather is just going to be too much for Miami. So give me Kansas City in that one. And then finally, in what I think is going to be the game of the week for the AFC at least, Texans-Browns. I've gone back and forth on this so much, but I think, it comes down to experience. And when you have an experienced quarterback like Joe Flacco, who's played in the playoffs before, I think that he could easily, with how he's been playing these past few weeks, I think he could easily carry the Browns, lead the Browns to a win. So I'm going to go with the Browns in a very close game. What about you?
Well, for my AFC wildcard predictions, start with the Browns-Texans game, the first game on Saturday. I agree like Joe Flacco, an experienced quarterback, like you said. I think that Joe Flacco can take the Cleveland Browns to the AFC Championship game, honestly. The Browns are just looking so good, and their really good season in 2020, I think they're better than that this season. The Browns obviously have dealt with a lot of injuries, but yeah, I think they're going to get the win over Houston. I don't think this is going to be the Texans' year, but it's going to come. Now with the Steelers and the Bills game, I think that it's going to be close because the cold weather is not a factor for these two teams, obviously, because they both play in it. But
it's going to snow, though. Apparently,
it's going to
snow a little bit.
But still, weather doesn't matter in that game. The Steelers, they're going to get the running game going early, and if it is snow, that means the ball's going to be a bit slippery, so expect the running game to be heavy. The Bills, I think, are going to come out with a slight win, either on a game-winning field goal or a touchdown drive to win the game for the Bills. And then we have the Miami and Kansas City game, which I think it's going to be tough because Patrick Mahomes, obviously his receivers have not been the receivers that he wanted this season. But I think it's either going to be close or the Chiefs are going to destroy the Dolphins because of the factor of how cold it is. So, Ben, who do you have for your NFC predictions?
Yeah, so moving on to the NFC, starting with the 2-7 again, it's Cowboys-Packers. I think that the Cowboys are just going to absolutely manhandle them. I don't think this is going to be close. I love what the Packers have been able to do, and in a rebuild year, I'm impressed that they got back to the postseason, but I think it ends here, unfortunately. Give me the Cowboys in a pretty convincing win. Moving on to the 3-6, this is my upset pick of the week. I think Matt Stafford and the Rams go into Detroit and silence the crowd at Ford Field. I have the Rams moving on to play the Niners in the divisional round. And then going on to the 4-5, I actually went back and forth on this one as well a few times. I think that the Bucs could easily pull out a win at home, especially with how bad the Eagles looked, but I'm still going to pick the Eagles. I think they're the safe pick, and I think that they'll be heading to Dallas for the divisional round.
I agree. So for my NFC predictions, starting with that Eagles-Bucs game on Monday Night Football, I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I'll tell you that right now. The Eagles' defense has not looked like it was. The pass rush is good. The secondary needs some work. But I think the Eagles could pull out the win and head to Dallas. Like you said, it's the safer pick to go with. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. And then the Packers and the Cowboys. It wouldn't surprise me if Green Bay pulls out a win, but expect that game to be close. But if I had to pick a winner, I think it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys on a game-winning field goal, I think, for sure. And then the other game, the Rams and the Lions, I'm going with you on this one. I think Matthew Stafford, with that experienced Rams playoff team, heck, they won the Super Bowl a few years ago, can go to Detroit and knock out Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. He's going to get his revenge on the Lions.
Yeah, I think experience is going to come into play so much in that game. And I think that the Lions are going to, they're one season away. I think next season they could compete for a Super Bowl, but this is not their year, in my opinion, unfortunately. And I think that it'll end this week.
I agree. Okay, so it is time for our game of the week for Week 18. So for my pick, I'm going to go with that AFC South matchup, Jacksonville and Tennessee. With the Titans winning that game, it shows something about Mike Vrabel because his guys, they didn't give up until the very end, until the clock hit 0. But, yeah, the Titans pulling out the 8-point win on that.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Tennessee, especially in Derrick Henry's what's probably going to be his last game. And obviously it knocked Jacksonville out, which sucks, but it was still fun to watch. And funny enough, for my pick, I'm going to go with the other AFC South matchup, the Texans-Colts matchup, just because of for what it meant. Like, the winner is in, the loser's out. It had everything was on the line, and C.J. Stroud being a rookie with this first-year head coach, they really delivered. So I think that was really entertaining.
I agree. I think that that D'Amico Ryan can win Coach of the Year.
It'll be him or Kevin Stefanski for sure.
I agree. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time on the NFL today, but when we come back, Matt and Noah will go over what happened this week in college football. So stay right here.
Hello and welcome back to Top of the Line. Today we will be covering the college football finals. There you have it, Noah. Michigan are our national champions, 15-0 in an undefeated season. The defense was dominant and the offense ran the ball effectively. Even though Washington hung around, it always felt like Michigan was in control. Noah, you got this one wrong. Any thoughts?
So, I got it wrong. I picked Washington all year. They went 13-0. I thought, or 14-0 actually. I'm like, you know what? Why not? Pick them for the national championship. Can't do any bad. And they lose pretty badly, honestly. You know, at first glance, this game, the score looks very bad. Like you said, Washington hung around for like basically the whole game, but Michigan was dominant all game. They had full control of the ball on the offensive side, full control of their defense, and their special teams didn't even play bad. That was what really costed them the last game. And special teams came back fully ready for this game and just did their job. And that's what you got to have in this game. You got to have all three phases going. And like everyone always says, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And that's a prime example of what we saw in this game. Michigan, best defense in college football. They win the championship over the best offense because that's just how it works.
Yeah, well, Noah, the year is over, but so many memorable moments were made this season. My personal favorite was Michigan winning it all. What about you?
Honestly, there are a lot of great moments from this year in between me going to Rutgers games, me just watching Washington do amazing and Michael Penix's comeback story. And just college football, such a great year we had. But my personal favorite moment would have to be going and seeing Rutgers win the bowl game at Yankee Stadium, going in person. I mean, it was just such an amazing atmosphere, mostly packed out with Rutgers fans because it's right next to where they play. And, great environment, great game, just all around, such a great moment to be in and such a great thing to be a part of.
Well, that's it for us on college football this year. But next week we will be talking college basketball. Now don't leave just yet because next up is Rocco and Noah talking about wrestling.
Hello, and welcome to this wrestling segment of Top of the Line. As always, I'm Noah Muller.
Rocco Coppola, along with you.
And today we'll look at what happened on the most recent edition of SmackDown New Year's Revolution and a look forward to Monday Night Raw tonight. So without further ado, let's get ready to rumble. So, Rocco, in other news to start today, there have been recent reports that Trinity Fatu, also formerly known as Naomi, is going to come back to WWE from TNA. The Sasha Banks thing is all kind of up in the air right now, but this could be huge for WWE. I mean, she was a world champion at one point. She's a dominant woman wrestler, and she had such a fun gig when she was in WWE. This would be a big get for WWE. What do you think about it?
The women's division's already good as it is, but there's nothing wrong with adding more star power. And if you bring back Naomi, you really elevate the other guys around her because not only is that good for the locker room because she's a veteran, but she's still amazing in the ring. What she did in TNA was so awesome to watch. And I feel like with Sasha Banks not probably coming back, it's just like, what do you do?
Yeah,
something like
this is
it's an odd topic because I was hoping Sasha Banks would come back, and I know she's got a bit of a big fan base. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a Sasha Banks fan, but she's still good in the ring. She could still go. So if I'm Sasha Banks, I'm taking that contract that WWE offered me. I'm not going to AEW.
Yeah, she could sink on the ship that her and MJF are going to be on with all those other AEW wrestlers.
Oh, my boy Maxwell.
Yeah, I feel bad, man.
It's his decision. He wants to play he wants to play the violin on the Titanic. Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. So tonight we're probably on Monday Night Raw. We're probably going to find out Gunther's next feud. Day one we didn't really find out much of anything, but I feel like tonight's the night we finally get something on Gunther. Honestly, I think it's going to be Kofi Kingston because they've had him kind of interlinked with Imperium for the last 2 weeks, and it could be Jey Uso. That could be very fun, but I think they're going to go with Kofi first because he was the guy who got jumped by Imperium. What do you think?
Kofi, yeah, I'd love to see Kofi win the Intercontinental Championship again. At least I think he's won it before.
Yeah, I don't think he'll win it, but I think they'll put on an amazing match because
Kofi's still amazing.
You saw what Kofi did with Ivar. I mean, him and Ivar put on 5-star matches on a regular.
You're having a good match with Ivar. You know you're doing something right. and I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think Kofi Kingston should end up going in the Hall of Fame when all said and done.
Oh, 100%.
Just because of his longevity and how good he's been. He's a consistent winner. He's a former WWE champion, one of my favorite moments of the 2019 year, and he's awesome.
Yeah,
Gunther and him could definitely have a 5-star classic. Got Gunther, you can have a 5-star classic with anybody, period. But if I'm WWE, I don't know if I would go with Kofi Kingston as my first choice. I would think maybe more your boy Chad Gable would get a shot. Or, hey, maybe transfer Solo Sikoa to Raw. I want to see that feud happen at least sometime. Or Karrion Kross, not sure. But I do think Kofi Kingston's going to be the guy that they go forward with. I think it's the right decision for right now because there's really nobody else, for being honest. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, with Kofi in the Hall of Fame, it should be him in the New Day, but it should also just be him as a singles wrestler. Because, I mean, the longevity he had, you said, he went from Jamaican Us Crazy to now being in the New Day. And, I mean, that's like just about 20 years of being like consistently good or being a like top wrestler in this industry.
Kofi. That's all Kofi.
It's all Kofi. So on the recent episode, SmackDown New Year's Revolution, we were supposed to have a triple threat to find out who's the number one contender for Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, but Roman Reigns kind of ruined that. So he's gonna be in a fatal 4-way: Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. Honestly, I think LA Knight takes the pinfall here just because there's too much star power in there. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be an awesome match. I think The Rock will come in at the end of it and face off with Roman. And I think that's the chamber match. I think that's the end game. Or we could have Randy Orton win the title. Cody Rhodes finish the story on Randy Orton. And we still get Rock Roman at WrestleMania, just no title included.
I cannot wait for this match. I think they'll go with a casual finish, but if I was Triple H, this is what I'm doing. I would actually be a fan of having Randy Orton win the title. LA Knight can get it down the road. AJ Styles, I don't think at this point needs the world title, although I would love to see him win another one. We could go Randy Orton winning, and then here's how it happens. Randy Orton wins. When Roman is about to pin LA Knight, or it could be anybody, he gets some help with Solo, and then some guy in a black mask, just a complete black outfit. You don't even see his face. You don't see his body. All you see is him taking out Solo, taking out Roman, and then putting Randy Orton over as he finishes 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton's the new champ. Then the unmasking turns out to be The Rock.
I mean, you could have just went. It would have been Devil, Adam Cole. But, yeah, that could be a good idea.
It's just something that you pitch out there. Yeah. That way you could have Roman lose, not losing clean.
Because we know it's in a Roman match, it never ends in a clean match. But it could end not clean in the favor of somebody else this time, and it would actually be, quite the refreshing thing for us fans to see a new champion finally. And then
or Roman doesn't have to take the pin. You could do something else. That way he can still look strong, and that way you could be thinking on who wins WrestleMania 40 if you go Rock versus Roman. But I think Rock versus Roman's going to happen at the Chamber. I think it's the right move. Have Cody get his rematch against Roman.
Because they still have to do Punk Rollins in the main event. So,
yeah.
I mean,
CM Punk coming back changes everything. And I know we've been beating a dead horse on that for quite some time now, but it's the truth. Like, if CM Punk never came back, like, who's main event in the World Heavyweight Championship? It's probably Finn Balor or Drew McIntyre.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, but yeah, CM Punk's altered the WWE almost
CM Punk's
as much.
He's the favorite to win the Rumble.
Almost as much as Roman Reigns altered it by getting COVID. Almost as much. And now is huge because he altered every plan they had. And by him getting COVID, had him have a historic reign. So, next up, Royal Rumble season is upon us. We got about 18 days left.
Just
until
about.
Royal Rumble, just about. And we have 2 matches announced. Obviously, the Fatal 4-Way we just talked about. And then Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. Owens winning the U.S. title tournament and facing Logan Paul for that championship. I think this could be good. I'm going to be honest. I think Logan wins it. Everyone's calling for a KO win. Logan has done nothing with the title.
Logan has done nothing with the title, but the title is actually elevated with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be beneficial for Logan Paul. The title, because now he's going to be a hated heel. I mean, sometimes he'll get cheered like a babyface, even when he's a bad guy. So that means Logan Paul's doing something right. But Logan Paul needs to keep the title to WrestleMania. I'm sorry to all you viewers at home who are sick of Logan Paul. I get it if you don't like him, but he's a great champion. I know he hasn't defended it. He's about to defend it. But Logan Paul is that guy. He's awesome in the ring. He's better than most of the roster, I'd argue. Logan Paul needs to hold the title to Mania and then have a match with LA Knight.
Yeah, and even if he wins, this match is still going to be amazing. So viewers should just take it for what it is.
Like, how many Logan Paul matches have there been? How many of them have been bad? 0. That's the answer.
Maybe the Miz and him tagging, but like that's not really.
He still
just
looked
him.
good in that match too.
Yeah.
He still looked good. That's why Logan Paul is that good.
Yeah. So on SmackDown, we also had Elton Prince and Kit Wilson, pretty deadly, facing off against Butch and one other partner. And they finally did it. They finally brought back British Strong Style, and they brought up Tyler Bates in the main roster. I mean, come on, dude. This is like
Love it.
5 years in the making.
I love it. Pretty Deadly is also starting to win me over as fans, too. The theme song is just hysterical. Whenever they're making their entrance, I can't help but just roll on the floor. It's too funny. Like, you look at their attire, you look at how they walk, how they talk. The British accent definitely makes it a little funnier. The theme song is my favorite, though. It's so good and weird at the same time.
Yeah.
But as for British Strong Style, I mean, this is great. Butch should become Pete Dunne again. That's what I think. Pete Dunne. That's what I'm start calling him from soon on out. Pete Dunne, baby. Yeah. Tyler Bate, amazing. He's a good talent, and I feel like a mid-card championship would help him at some point. Obviously, he's still pretty vanilla to the main roster as of today, so we'll see what they do with him. But I'm excited to see Tyler Bate. I think it's good. It's a good decision. Just got to see who else they call up now, too. I'm really excited.
Yeah, the season of call-ups is officially started with the WrestleMania season starting up. So
hopefully my boy Mello gets up there too.
Huge. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! But how can we not talk about the return of my boy?
Gotta save the best for last.
Karrion Kross, baby.
It's awesome, dude. I mean, you have Kross come back, obviously, and
Scarlett dyed her hair.
Yeah. All right. Usually, whenever Kross comes back, it's usually he gets 2 matches, he gets squashed in one, he loses the other, and then leaves for a couple months. But not this time. He's got his own faction now.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Karrion Kross has come back with Scarlett, obviously, and the return of legendary manager Paul Ellering, the manager, who managed the greatest tag team of all time, the Road Warriors, a.k.a. the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. He's not alone. He's brought back the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razar.
I mean, this is going to be pure dominance right here. You got the Authors of Pain, who already look dominant. They made the Street Profits look silly out there. And
they don't got Vince touching them anymore.
Yeah, they don't. And then Kross, just the aura there looks awesome, dude.
Yeah, I got a feeling they're going to change Karrion Kross's theme song, even though I love his theme song. But there comes a time where you need to change something, and I feel like that time is now. But hey, if they keep the theme song, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and I mean, bringing Ellering back is just an awesome idea.
Paul Ellering
as a mouthpiece.
I love it.
It's gonna be amazing.
Love it. I would love to see him feud with the Judgment Day or the Bloodline at some point, but that's for down the road.
100%. That's gonna do us for us in the wrestling world. But don't go anywhere. As next, Andrew and Marco will be going over the Premier League on Top of the Line.
Hello, I'm Marco Baldino.
And I'm Andrew Mirzaaghasi.
And we'll be covering this week's games in the FA Cup.
Yep, this time is FA Cup since we had no Premier League last week, and the UFEA qualifier games are basically done, so let's get right to it. So for this one, Liverpool versus Arsenal, 2-0. It was a very early game and a great chance to score, but ended up with a defensive mistake.
So we start off with early in the game, Kai Havertz had a really good No, it was a big defensive. Sorry, it was a big defensive mistake, and Arsenal had a really good chance to open up the score early, which somehow they couldn't. But there's so many times in this game, Arsenal had a perfect chance to score. Like Kai Havertz had 2 golden opportunities. Like one, he had the ball in the box. I don't know why, but he was going away from goal. And another time, he had a perfect header, like by this. The 6-yard box. 2 perfect opportunities. And then even Saka have a perfect chance in the box. I don't know why. so many golden opportunities for Arsenal, and they got shut out this game.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly, if they had like that many opportunities.
Yeah, even like both teams hit the crossbar, hit the post, but I feel like there could have been a lot more goals this game, a lot more goals.
Yeah, like you could probably get like a more hyped game with that, and really, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, but like the first goal to open up was Arsenal scoring an own goal, but then in the 95th minute, Luis Diaz for Liverpool scores in the 95th minute to like seal the game.
Yeah, just to seal the game. They couldn't finish it. They had a lot of chances were wasted. I will say that. Now we would have Man City versus Huddersfield. 5-0 completely shut them out. I am very happy with this. With Alvarez would have a very smooth goal where it went from 2 to 3 players and he was able to score. And of course, Fondon would score 2 goals and Doku would also score 1 as well. I'm very proud that it shows that they're getting back.
Well, I wouldn't say that so soon because Huddersfield. Have you ever heard that team before?
Nope.
Exactly. It's 5-0, so like a lot of goals scored, but they need to really show. They really need to step up in the Premier League, not just in the FA Cup. So it's a good win, but I want to see how they do it back in the Premier League.
I do want to see how they do back in the Premier League because I want them to really step up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, I want to see De Bruyne back too as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back during the Premier League. I'm just hoping that they can actually step up into it. So Aston Villa continues to make upsets, but not from the Premier League this time. They went against Middlesbrough 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0. I feel like they barely wanted this game, and Matty Cash was the person to score.
Yeah, Matty Cash just comes in with the upset.
Pretty cool name.
It is a pretty cool last name. I'll give it that. He came in with an upset in Aston Villa style with just 1 goal, and the other team just gets 0. So I'm not really that surprised.
Yeah, I mean, like, good win, but also Aston Villa. I also want to see how they do in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we didn't do Premier League this week because there was no Premier League, but the FA Cup, it's not as big as games in the Premier League, so not a really big thing to pay attention to, but like I feel like it always gets more popular as it gets to like the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals.
Yeah, it's kind of like that because like we mostly cover Premier League, so we just go with that. So,
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. Tune into next week for a recap of NFL and college football, results from SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, from WWE, and continuing coverage of the Premier League. All and more on the next episode of Top of Line.